So quotient property, division and multiplication are able to work in a very similar manner. Just like if you've got two things being square rooted and they're multiplied together, you can break that up into two things. If two things are being divided, and there's a big square root, you can break up the division into two separate things. So that's what we're going to do. We've got the square root of 16 over the square root of 25. Rather than making one big square root, we're going to break it into two separate ones. We can do the square root of 16 over the square root of 25, just breaking it up into two different problems like we did with multiplication. And that is easy peasy. Square root of 16 is 4, because we're doing 4 times 4, that's 16. And the square root of 25 is 5. Done. Now, be careful when you're dealing with numbers. A common mistake is people see the number and they want to take the 16 and cut that in half. Don't do that. Only do that if there's an exponent. If you've got that exponent, then you can cut in half. If it's not an exponent, you've got to think about, okay, what times itself is going to be that number. Next, we've got 48. So we're going to break that up into two parts. We've got the square root of 48 on top, divided by the square root of 36. Okay. Well, the square root of 36, I know that. It's 6. Because 6 times 6 is 36. 7 times 7 is 49, not 48. So we're going to have to go hunting for 48. So we'll start 48. So I just checked 49. That was 7. So I don't want to use that. Let's do 6 squared. So that's 36. Can I divide that? No, that doesn't work. Let's check 5 squared. So 48 divided by 25. Does that work? No, doesn't. Let's check 4 squared. 48 divided by 16. Success! 3. All right, cool. So we're going to use a 16 and a 3. So we got square root of 16 and we got square root of 3. This is still being divided. The square root of 16, oh, that's 4. We still have our square root of 3, and then we've got a 6 still on the bottom. Now, you might notice, hey, 4/6, that's the same as 2/3. We should still simplify our fraction if we can. So we're going to divide these both by 2. But notice how I'm ignoring that 3. We can't, yeah, there's a 3 and a 3 that we could divide from both of these. However, this 3 is stuck inside of that radical. Anything inside of that radical is in quarantine. Like, seriously, it's quarantined right now, and we can't do anything to it. It has to stay in that quarantine. Topical! Divide by 2 equals 2 square roots of 3 over 3. And that's done. We can't simplify it anymore because that radical 3 is being quarantined right now. We can't do anything with it. Next, we've got the square root of 11 over d squared. We need to break that up into two different problems. We've got square root of 11 divided by the square root of d squared. The square root of 11, that's not a perfect square. So let's go hunting. So we've got 11. Let's see, if we do 4, that's 16. That's too big. So let's check 3 squared. That's 9. We do 3 squared. Nope. Let's try 2 squared. Oh, so the only one we can do is 1? Yeah, that's the only one that works. And since that's the only one that works, we actually can do nothing. So that square root of 11, we're just going to leave alone. D squared, though, that's one of those cool exponents, so we're going to cut it in half. So we've got d on the bottom, and then in the numerator, we've got square root of 11. All right, and now we've got one last problem, I believe. Oh, no, we got a few more. In this one, we're actually going to break this up into 4 separate problems. We've got two numbers. Those are going to need to be simplified. And then we've got two exponents, and those are going to need to be simplified. So this is really a four problem, not one problem. I'm just trying to write it. So we got those two in the numerator. And then in our denominator, we've got 49, and we've got y to the sixth. I'm going to take care of the easy ones first because they're easy. That y to the sixth, that's an exponent, so we'll cut that 6 in half, so we'll get y to the third. Then we've got 49, square root of 49. Oh, that's 7. That's a nice number, so we're just going to write 7. X to the fourth, that's an exponent. So that exponent, we want to cut that in half, and we'll get x squared. And now we've got that 200. That 200, we got to go hunting because it's not a perfect square. We can check by doing the square root of 200. And yeah, that's pretty gross. So we're going to start hunting. So we got 200. We want to divide that thing by a perfect square. So I know 14 squared is 196. That doesn't work. I know, oops, sorry. I know 13 squared, and if you don't know what 13 squared is, you can just do 13 and then squared. That'll also work to kind of like test out numbers. But hopefully you know your perfect squares up to about 15. 12 squared is 144. That doesn't work. 200 divided by 11 squared, that's 121. Now that doesn't work. 200 divided by 10 squared, that's 100. Oh, there we go, that'll work. Yeah, sweet, 2, that's great. So we'll use 102. So we've got square root of 100, and we've got square root of 2. So the only thing that we need to do to finish simplifying this thing is square root 100. That's going to be 10. I'm going to bring the x squared first and put the square root of 2 at the end because it's polite. And we got 7y to the third. All done. Okay, now these ones are a little goofy. They're a little bit different. Right now, if you look at both of these, for the most part, we can't do any simplification. Yeah, there's a little bit that we could kind of do in this one. We're actually going to do something different. What we're going to do is these are already separate. We're going to put them together and then potentially break them apart again, because by putting them together, we might be able to get some perfect squares underneath the radical that we'll be able to simplify. So the first thing we're going to do when we see these two things is we're going to put them together before we break them apart again, because somebody broke these apart, but they broke them apart incorrectly. So 3 times 6 is going to get us 18, and x times x is going to be an x squared. Ooh, this looks much, much simpler now. So this is the square root of 18 and the square root of x squared, which is just an x. Sweet. 18. Let's go hunting. I know 18 is really close to 4 squared. That's 16. That's no good. 18 divided by, oh, I just did 4, so let's check 3. 9. Success. All right. So square root of 9 and square root of 2. The square root of 9 is 3. Bring that x to the front for our good manners. Also, it would be marked wrong. So manners and points, double reason. So we get 3x square roots of 2. Square root of 2, as we talked about earlier, doesn't turn out to be anything nice. Next one. So again, the 75 we could simplify a little bit, but I wouldn't recommend it because we're just going to have to like combine it with the 2 in a little bit. So let's just put them together right away. So 75 times 2 is 150. X times x cubed is going to get us x to the 4th. And then we got a regular old y. All right, now that has been put into one big one, now let's break it up into parts that make more sense. So we've got the square root of 150. We'll have to do some work with that in a little bit. We've got the square root of x to the 4. Ooh, that looks easy. And then we've got our square root of y. Oh, there's nothing to be done there. It's just a y. We can't really do anything if it's just one variable. So we've just got square root of y for that thing. X to the 4, that's an exponent, so we're going to cut it in half. My image is mirrored, so I keep like trying to put it over here and then x squared. And then 150, we've got to find a nice perfect square. I know 144 is very close. I keep using the on-screen one when the keyboard's faster. 150 divided by 12 squared, because that's really close. That doesn't work. 150 divided by 11 squares, that's 121. Does that work? No, that doesn't work. 150 divided by 100, which is 10 squared. Does that work? Oh, it's so close. 150 divided by, we just did 10, let's check, 9 squared. Remember, you can do it this way as well. Nope, that's not right. 150 divided by 8 squared, that's 64. Oh my gosh, come on. 150 divided by 7 squared, 49. No! 150 divided by 6 squared, 36. Come on, come on. Oh, come on, come on, come on. Ron Check needs his new pair of shoes. Woo! Yes, success. All right, so we got one. 25 is going to be our best option. So we're going to break that up into a 25 and a 6. So square root of 25 and square root of 6. Square root of 25, that's 5. This is going to be our last step. So let's bring the thing that was also square rooted, that x. And now we've got like these two pieces. We've got that square root of 6 and we've got that square root of y. So rather than putting like two little square roots at the end, let's put them back together and just write it as one square root at the very end, 6y. And that's it. Thank you for watching today. And if you have any questions, make sure you ask your teacher. Bye.